Good morning, sons and daughters of the Most High. This is Chukwemeka with the Igbo Hebrews. Brothers and sisters, today we are going to discuss two different topics from the Bible. Both of them can be found in one verse of the Bible. Actually, what happened was that a few weeks ago, I turned 36, and I decided to read the 36th chapter in most Bible verses, and something came up, and I decided to do a video about it. I've seen it before, but I wanted to do a video about it because that discussion has happened before. The first one is on the Hebrew language. It's actually on the meaning of Zedek. You see, when I did my video, this particular video about the biblical cities found in southern Nigeria, I said that Melchizedek was a Canaanite. That he, and I also mentioned another individual that's called Zedek, the king of Adoni. Adoni is a community that can be found in Nigeria today, and their king is named Zedek. That in the Bible, the king is named Zedek, and I said that the word Zedek means king. Unfortunately, the people who interpret the Hebrew language today, they interpreted Zedek to mean righteousness, and I said that is not correct. And now a number of people also gave me some trouble with that interpretation. But if you read the Bible, you'll see that there are three individuals that have Zedek in their name. Three individuals. Okay, let's go ahead and read it. We've talked about Zedek that can be found in the book of Joshua. We also talk about Melchizedek, the one that Abraham paid tithe to. Those are two of them. Now let's go to the book of 2 Kings chapter 24. In the book of 2 Kings chapter 24, let's start. It talks about when Nebuchadnezzar attacked the kingdom of Judah, and Jehoiakim was the king as at that time, and Nebuchadnezzar carried him and his family to slavery in Babylon. Let's read 2 Kings chapter 24, and let's read from verse 15. He said, and he carried away Jehoiakim to Babylon. He's talking about Nebuchadnezzar now, right? And he said, and he carried away Jehoiakim to Babylon, and the king's mother, and the king's wives, and his officers, and the mighty men of the land, and the mighty of the land. Those carried he into captivity from Jerusalem to Babylon. Verse 16, I said, and all the men of might, even 7,000, and craftsmen and smiths 8,000, all that were strong and apt for war, even them the king of Babylon brought captive to Babylon. Verse 17, and the king of Babylon made Mattaniah, his father's brother, king in his stead, and changed his name to Zedekiah. Now, Nebuchadnezzar took Jehoiakim and his family to slavery in Babylon. And he left some people in Jerusalem, including the prophet Jeremiah, and he made his uncle, his father, that is Jehoiakim's father's brother, called Mattaniah. He made him king. And what did I tell you, brothers? I've told you, when the Babylonians take you, the first thing they do is change your name. Remember, the prophet Daniel's name was changed. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, those names were changed. They were Hananiah, Mattaniah, those were all Hebrews, and their names were changed. The same thing goes on today. If you go to any of the Babylonian temples that call themselves Christian churches or Catholic churches, they give you a baptismal name, they change your name. That's what they do. So they changed his name from Mattaniah, and what did they call him? Zedekiah. He made him king. He was not king before. He was the king's uncle. But he made him king and called him Zedekiah. That's why I keep telling you that Zedek means king. It doesn't mean righteousness. There are three individuals in the Bible that have Zedek in their name. Three individuals. You have Zedekiah, you have Adoni, Zedek, and you have Melchizedek. And the three of them, what they have in common is kingship. That's what they have in common. That's the commonality between them. So those who say that Zedek means righteous, these three individuals, only one of them is considered righteous, and that's Melchizedek. The others are not considered, they don't have righteousness as a commonality. It's kingship that they have as a commonality. You see, the language that people call modern Hebrew today, I see a lot of people spending money to go and learn Hebrew. You will be better off learning the ancient Igbo language. I believe, for instance, that the Bible was written in the ancient Igbo language. That's what is written. And it has been changed. The modern Hebrew you know today was formulated by someone using known words. Someone literally sat down in his mother's basement and formulated the language using known words. There are known words, known Hebrew words, and other Canaanitic words. That is why the modern Hebrew today is more Canaanitic. It looks more like ancient Egyptian language. Okay, so that's it for Zedek. But like I was saying, when I turned 36, I was reading the 36 chapter of most Bible verses, and I read the 36th chapter of the book of Jeremiah, and it was very interesting what we saw there. So let's go through it. Let's see what well, actually we did that. That was the Sabbath lesson we did that week in my household, Jeremiah chapter 36, and I want to show you something that stands out there. And this, so we use this what I'm going to tell you now was actually what you discussed in the Sabbath lesson in my family in that week that I turned 36, because it was when I was reading the 36th chapter of Jeremiah that it came back. I've read it before, it just didn't strike. Now, after that happened, after we had that Sabbath lesson in my family, I saw this particular video on YouTube. So it talks about the exact same thing. And those of you who follow my videos, I like it when things fix, when people from different angles are discussing the exact same thing. So I'll put the link to that particular video here. You can go and see it. This brother said the exact same thing that I'm about to discuss now, and the video has been done much earlier, but I've not seen it. When we had the Sabbath lesson in my family, I have not seen this video. But it's about Christianity. It's about another reason why anyone should really not worship Jesus in the Bible, in the New Testament. These are all, the deception is just enormous. If you begin to follow the deception in the New Testament, it's just enormous. If Jeremiah was alive today, he will lay a curse on anybody that goes to worship Jesus. When I tell you that going to worship Jesus have made us the Hebrews and Usu, I'm not joking about it, because this is a foreign God that we shouldn't even worship. If Jesus actually existed, which I do not believe that the individual exists the way it is described existed, but if he actually existed, he is from a cursed lineage. He should not be worshipped. This tells you that there's something wrong with the New Testament. There's a whole lot wrong with the New Testament. Okay, let's read it here. If you go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 36, and it's a very long chapter, it has about 30 something verses, but in that book, the Most High gave a revelation to the prophet Jeremiah to tell the king. And usually, if you read the Bible, usually whenever a prophet comes with a message from the Most High to tell the king, sometimes the kings may not do exactly what the Most High say, but they treat it with utter respect. But this king, Jehoiakim, was the only king that treated the words of the Most High with so much disrespect. I have never seen that before in the Bible. Let's read it here. Jeremiah chapter 36 from verse 20, it says, "And they went to the king into the court, But they laid up the roll in the chamber of Elishama the scribe, and told all the words in the ears of the king. So the king sent Jehudi to fetch the roll, and he took it out of Elishama the scribe's chamber. Remember, this roll was written by Baruch. The words that the Most High gave to Jeremiah, Baruch the scribe wrote it and went and gave it to them to read it to the king. Okay, now he said, so the king sent Jehudi to fetch the roll, and he took it out of Elishama the scribe's chamber. And Jehudi read it in the ears of the king, and in the ears of all the princes which stood beside the king. Verse 22. Now the king sat in the winter house in the 9th month, and there was a fire on the hearth burning before him. And it came to pass that when Jehudi had read 3 or 4 leaves, he cut it with the penknife and cast it into the fire that was on the hearth, until all the roll was consumed in the fire that was on the earth. Brothers and sisters, imagine this kind of disrespect. The Most High sent a message to a prophet, the scribe wrote it down, and they are reading it to the king. And when they read 3 or 4 pages, the king will cut it with a knife and throw it in the fire. And he'll sit down there and they'll read. He sat down, they read everything to him, and he burnt everything. It's not like he read 1 chapter or 1 page or 2 pages. He read everything and he kept on burning them in the fire. That is an abomination that this king called Jehoiakim did. And the Most High placed a curse on him and his descendants forever. The Most High placed a curse on Jehoiakim and his descendants forever. Let me show you that. If you go down to Jeremiah chapter 36, it says, Jeremiah chapter 36, you go to verse 28, it said, Jeremiah was now telling Baruch, he said, the Most High was now telling Jeremiah, he said, take thee another roll and write in it the former words that were in the first roll, which Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, had borne. And thou shalt say to Jehoiakim, king of Judah, thus says the Lord, thou hast borne this roll, saying, why hast thou written therein, saying, the king of Babylon shall certainly come and destroy this land, and shall cause to cease from thence man and beast. Take therefore, thus says the Lord of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, he shall have none to sit upon the throne of David, and his dead body shall be cast out in the day of the heat, and in the night to the frost. And I will punish him and his seed and his servants for their iniquity, and I will bring upon them and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem and upon the men of Judah all the evil that I have pronounced against them, but they hearkened not. This is the curse that the Most High placed on Jehoiakim. The Most High placed a curse that he will punish him and his children forever. Okay, this is the same Jehoiakim that they took slavery to captive to Babylonia, and they made his uncle Mattaniah, they made him king and called him Zedekiah. Okay, the Most High placed a curse on him forever. Brothers and sisters, Jehoiakim had a son. His name is Jeconiah. Let's see another curse. He also was more evil than like his father. Let's see the curse again that the Most High placed on him. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 22. Jeremiah chapter 22, you see the same curse on Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim. Jeremiah chapter 22 verse 24, it says, as I live, said the Lord, though Coniah, the son of Jeconiah, his name is, the short form of his name is Coniah. You know, his name, the full name is Jeconiah. And the Most High said here, as I live, Jeremiah 22 verse 24, the Most High said, as I live, said the Lord, though Coniah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, were the signet upon my right hand, yet I will pluck thee thence, and I will give thee into the hand of them that seek thy life, and into the hand of them whose face thou fearest, and even into the hand of Nebuchadrezzar, the king of Babylon, and into the hand of the Chaldeans, and I will cast thee out, and thy mother that bare thee into another country where ye were not born, and there shall you die. But to the land whereupon thou desire to return, neither shall there not return. Okay, he said, verse 28, he said, is this man Coniah a despised broken idol? Is he a vessel wherein is no pleasure? Wherefore are they cast out, he and his seed, and are cast into a land which they know not. The Most High made it very clear that not only is Coniah cast out from the throne of David, he and his seed from his father, they are all cast out. None of them can sit on the throne of David. Brothers and sisters, if you go to the book of Matthew chapter 1, do you know who they have as ancestor of Jesus sitting on the throne of David? Let's read the book of Matthew chapter 1. Matthew chapter 1 from verse 10. He said, and Zedekiah begat Manasseh, and Manasseh begat Ammon, and Ammon begat Josiah, and Josiah begat Jeconiah and his brethren, about the time they were being taken away to Babylon. You see Jeconiah, the one that is cursed, that they said, that the book of Jeremiah chapter 36 said, none of his seed shall sit on the throne of David. Here he is as a descendant, as an ancestor of Jesus in the book of Matthew chapter 1. And then verse 12, he said, and after they were brought to Babylon, Jeconiah begat Salatiel, and Salatiel begat Zerubbabel, and nobody cares anymore. This Jeconiah, he is under a curse. How can he be the father of Jesus? If he is the father of Jesus, that means Jesus is under a curse. How can people go to church and worship Jesus as a son of, as a king under the throne of David? Meanwhile, the Bible made it very clear that anybody from that line is cursed and cast out. This is another deception in Christianity. I mean, I didn't write this Bible. I didn't. But I read it like everyone else, and you can see clearly that reading the New Testament and going to worship the idols they worship in the New Testament, that makes zero sense. The Bible itself can disprove that. And look at, don't take it from me, brothers and sisters. Look at what the Bible says. When the book of Jeremiah, when Jeremiah was trying to warn the earth about the people of the earth about worshipping this idol that they call Jeconiah. Let's read it again. He said, Jeremiah chapter 22 verse 28, he says, is this man Coniah a despised broken idol? Is he a vessel wherein is no pleasure? Now this man, of course, the Coniah, represents the entire lineage from Jeconiah that is under a curse. Wherefore are they cast out? That's he and his seed, anyone from his line, Jeconiah, Jehoiakim, and their children, everybody, they are cast out, and they are cast into a land that they cannot sit on the throne of David. Jeremiah chapter 22 verse 29, look at what Jeremiah said. Jeremiah was basically crying out to everyone. He said, oh earth, 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 hear the word of the Lord. How many brothers and sisters, how can a prophet be crying out today? Because the Most High knows that people will go to worship the seed of a cursed individual. He is cursed. I didn't place the curse on him. His actions, by burning the message of the Most High, brought that curse on him. But today, we are going to church to worship the descendants of this cursed individual. That is why Jeremiah was screaming in the book of 29. He wasn't saying, oh Judah, or oh Israel, or Israel, or any. He was saying, oh earth, the entire earth, oh earth, 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 hear the word of the Lord. Because the entire earth is going to church to worship the descendant, the supposed descendant of this cursed lineage. The entire earth is going to church to worship the descendant of a cursed lineage. And that's why Jeremiah was screaming on top of his head, oh earth. He called the earth 3 times. There's no place in the Bible where this is done, where someone is screaming and calling on the earth to hear the word of the Lord. This is only where it is gone. Jeremiah usually would preach to the dissidents of Judah or to the people of Israel, but in this chapter he is calling the whole earth to hear the word of the Lord. The person you are supposedly going to church to worship is a cursed person. And look at what he said in verse 30, Jeremiah chapter 22 verse 30. He said, "Thus says the Lord, write ye this man childless, a man that has not prospered in his days. For no man of his seed shall prosper, sitting upon the throne of David and ruling any more in Judah." This is what the prophet Jeremiah said. This man Jehoiakim and Jeconiah, they are completely childless. This man Jehoiakim and Jeconiah, they are childless. As far as the Most High is concerned, they have no children. None of their seed can sit on the throne of David. Today, brothers and sisters who go to church and say, "Jesus, son of David, come and help us." How? If he existed, he is from the lineage that is cursed. The Bible you are reading clearly states that. So I was extremely happy that someone already have a video about this. I wanted to put this out here, and I'll put a link to this video. You can look at it. You see, the truth is out there, brothers and sisters. Okay, it's out there. There are people who are going beyond what they want to do to bring out the truth to people, and these people are not. They're not asking you to pay money for it, because one thing I've noticed is that people who usually tell you the truth, they don't really ask for money in any way. Those people who want to lie and deceive, they ask you to either pay this for Hebrew lesson, or pay this for Bible classes, or pay. They are just businessmen making profit out of you, as the scripture says. Okay, so it's clearly here. It's clearly stated clearly. If you are going to churches worshiping an individual, you look at what the Bible said about that individual. Okay, look at what the Bible says about that lineage. As far as the Most High is concerned, from Jeconiah there's no other child. Okay, from Jeconiah there's no other person that exists. We can't go to the village and begin to teach this to old people in the village. They probably do not understand. But those of you who understand, you can clearly see that this is deception. That is why I keep saying, do not be opening the New Testament and doing what it's saying. Don't take those stories they're telling you there. Those things are not true. And you can read the Bible to see clearly that these things are not true. Anyway, I wanted to put this out there. May the Most High bless each and every one of us. So now.